a Soviet computer operator in the 1970s. In the 1970s, the Soviet Union stood as a colossal force of ideology and industry, its influence stretching from the Arctic Circle to the Persian Gulf. This era was characterized by the rigid hierarchies of a planned economy, where every factory, farm, and research institute operated under state supervision. Technology, during this time, was not merely a means of progress but a weapon in the ideological battle between East and West. Despite lagging behind the United States in computing power, the Soviet Union pursued its vision of technological sovereignty, placing the computer operator at the center of a delicate balance between human labor and machine precision. Consider the scale of this endeavor. While the United States raced towards microprocessor innovation and software development, the USSR relied on massive, outdated machines, relays, vacuum tubes, and punch cards. Yet within this constrained environment, Soviet engineers and operators worked tirelessly to create systems capable of managing everything from grain distribution to missile trajectories. The computer operator was not merely a technician, but a guardian of the state's technological aspirations. They had to bridge the gap between abstract programming logic and physical hardware reality, demanding both technical expertise and unwavering adherence to protocol. This role was far from ordinary. The operator's workplace was a sanctuary of precision, sterile, silent, and ruled by unyielding regulations, much like the Iron Curtain itself. The air buzzed with the quiet hum of magnetic tapes and the occasional malfunction of a relay. Every action, from keystrokes to card feed, was a crucial step in a process that could not afford errors. Mistakes were costly, and in a society where the state controlled all information, they were also politically perilous. Here, the operator's work became a quiet act of resistance against entropy, a daily battle to ensure flawless operation of the machine, and, by extension, the state. Surprisingly, this role was also a paradox. The operator was both a cog in a vast ideological machine, and a solitary figure navigating a world where innovation and obsolescence were narrowly defined. Their days were spent among machines that, according to Western standards, were primitive, yet in Soviet terms, they were marvels of ingenuity. The operator's task was not just maintenance, but also the extraction of meaning from these systems, requiring a unique blend of patience, problem-solving skills, and an almost mystical understanding of the machinery's quirks. This was the realm of the Soviet computer operator in the 1970s, a world where technology was both a state tool and a frontier of human potential, with every day representing a negotiation between hardware limitations and national ambitions. As we progress, we will delve into how this delicate dynamic unfolded in the early hours of dawn, when the first light illuminated the cold glow of a terminal screen. The morning dawned before the sun had fully risen, shrouding Moscow or Leningrad streets in the hushed stillness of pre-dawn. For the computer operator, punctuality was not merely suggested but demanded. The workday in the Soviet Union adhered to a rigid schedule, woven tightly like threads of a 5-year plan. The operator would have left their modest apartment, perhaps in a communal flat, where the hum of shared refrigerators and kitchens created a familiar symphony, to begin their journey to the computing center. This building, often nestled discreetly behind industrial complexes, was a sprawling, windowless structure, a place of discipline and routine. Trams and buses, though reliable, were susceptible to Soviet infrastructure's whims. Delays were rare but not unknown, serving as a reminder that even highly structured systems are not infallible. Upon arrival, the operator's first task was not to interact with the machines, but to adhere to state protocols. Security checkpoints, an omnipresent aspect of Soviet life, required the presentation of a work permit and photograph ID. The interior air was cool, laced with the metallic aroma of machinery, and a faint hint of ozone from electricity. Here, the operator's role as a guardian of the state's technological ambitions became evident. Every step forward led into a realm where efficiency reigned supreme, and error was considered an abomination. The workspace resembled a cathedral of precision. Rows of punch card readers stood along the room, their mechanical arms moving with the deliberate, clockwork-like motion of automata. Neat stacks of magnetic tapes, the primary data storage medium, were coiled carefully, their fragility posing a silent challenge. The operator's initial task was a ritual, inspecting power lines for integrity, verifying relay switch alignment, and ensuring vacuum tubes, the glowing, delicate hearts of the machines, operated without fluctuation. Each step required patience, a ballad of observation and correction. A misaligned card or loose connection could trigger a system failure, with consequences far beyond the technical in a society where information was considered a state asset. The machines themselves presented a paradox. To untrained eyes, they appeared archaic and clunky, a world removed from the sleek microprocessors being prototyped in Western labs. Yet within the Soviet context, they were marvels of engineering, adapted to endure harsh climates that would have testing even the most robust Western hardware. The operator's understanding of these systems was not merely technical, it was instinctual, born of years spent deciphering their quirks. A relay that hesitated at a certain temperature, or a punch card that jammed under rapid feed. These were not flaws but puzzles to be solved, each one a testament to the operator's expertise. Yet beneath this meticulous routine lurked an unspoken tension. The operator's work was not solely about machine maintenance, it was also about upholding the state's narrative. Every successful program run and flawless data transfer served as a quiet affirmation of Soviet technological prowess. But the machines, with their ingenuity, also served as reminders of system limitations, prioritizing ideology over innovation. The operator, through their meticulous diligence, participated in this grand project while navigating the friction between aspiration and reality. As daylight's first rays filtered through the high windows of the computing center, the machines stirred. The operator, now fully absorbed in the morning's routine, prepared for the day's initial challenge, initializing a system that, in its own way, symbolized the Soviet Union's ambitions, much like rockets launching from Baikonur. By midday, the computing center had transformed into a symphony of mechanical labor, its rhythm governed not by conventional timekeeping, but by the relentless demands of state priorities. The operator, deeply immersed in the day's work, moved with practiced precision between the towering cabinets of the mainframe and the labyrinthine rows of punch card readers. The air grew heavy with the scent of oil and a faint, acrid tang from overheating components, a constant reminder that these marvels of Soviet engineering were not invulnerable to their own design flaws. The core of the operation revolved around data management, a delicate task of critical importance. Punch cards, each containing information encoded in rows of holes, were fed into the machines in batches. The operator's skilled hands, calloused from years of repetition, ensured no card was misaligned or damaged. A single misplaced hole could corrupt an entire dataset, a mistake with significant repercussions in a society where information was both a commodity and a political asset. The machines, however, were not passive, they were temperamental, their behavior influenced by vacuum tubes, relays, and the ever-present threat of electrical interference. A sudden surge could cause a relay to malfunction, triggering a cascade of errors that required immediate intervention from the operator. Armed with screwdrivers, multimeters, and an intuitive understanding of the machine's quirks, they would pause their tasks to diagnose issues. This was not mere maintenance, but a delicate dance between intuition and calculation, a negotiation with the machine's limitations requiring both technical expertise and almost mechanical empathy. Logistical challenges added to the operator's burden. Massive magnetic tape drives, their data reels protected by covers, demanded careful handling. Each tape, a linear archive, needed precise winding and unwinding, contrasting starkly with Soviet ideals of industrial prowess. When tapes jammed or drives failed, operators had to improvise, often using salvage parts from decommissioned machines or repurposed components from other departments. This resourcefulness, born of necessity, showcased the ingenuity of those operating within a system that sometimes prioritized ideology over innovation. Collaboration with supervisors and technical teams was an integral part of the midday routine. The operator's work was not solitary, it contributed to a broader network of engineers, programmers, and administrators, each invested in the operation's success. Communication, though formal and bureaucracy-laden, became critical during crises, such as system crashes threatening time-sensitive calculations. In these moments, The operator's ability to articulate problems and propose solutions became invaluable, turning technical expertise into a form of currency within the Soviet workplace hierarchy. As hours passed, the operator's dual role as technician and guardian of state ambitions became more apparent. Each repair to a malfunctioning relay or reinserted punch card was an act of defiance against entropy threatening to overwhelm the system. In this realm of clunky machinery and rigid protocols, their work served as a testament to human resilience, bridging the gap between hardware limitations and the boundless aspirations of a nation striving for technological independence. Beneath the surface of this meticulous routine, however, lay an unspoken tension. The machines, despite their ingenuity, were relics from a bygone era, their constraints a constant reminder of the disparity between Soviet Union's ambitions and available resources. The operator, navigating this grand project daily, was both a participant and witness to its contradictions, their steady hands and attuned minds reflecting the delicate balance between state demands and the relentless march of progress. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the computing center, the operator turned their attention to the next task, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. Their skills and resilience would be tested against the constraints of a system that demanded perfection from its human operators. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the computing center, its light filtering through high windows untouched by the sky for decades. By this hour, the operator's hands had adapted to the rhythm of their labor, yet the weight of the day's work lingered. Not as fatigue, but as a quiet realization of their role in the state's broader ambitions. Here, within the hushed corridors of Soviet engineering, the operator's task transcended mere technique. It was a silent negotiation between human ingenuity and a rigid system that often devalued innovation. These machines, not mere relics but testaments to a philosophy, reflected the Soviet dedication to endurance over elegance, resilience over efficiency. Each vacuum tube, punch card, and relay that flickered back to life after a malfunction symbolized the state's pursuit of self-reliance, even with hardware decades behind Western standards. The operator, in their daily toil, embodied both the vision and its contradictions. Their work's impact extended beyond the confines of the Soviet machine. In a society valuing labor based on alignment with state goals, computer operators occupied a peculiar position. Indispensable expertise contrasted with rare recognition as innovators, they were seen as integral parts of a system that required human intervention to overcome hardware limitations. This dichotomy raised a profound question: did their labor truly advance technology or merely delay the inevitable obsolescence of a resistant system? The operator's legacy, however, extended beyond the Soviet era. The persistence of these systems and their maintainers became a global case study in ideology's influence on technological development. Despite political constraints, the Soviet approach to computing fostered an environment of improvisation and problem-solving that inspired engineers worldwide. Operators' prowess in extracting performance from outdated machinery and repairing designed obsolescence contributed quietly yet significantly to global narratives of technological resilience. Moreover, the operator's routine revealed a societal truth: in systems governed by centralized control, individual expertise could be both a state tool and a form of quiet resistance. Meticulous punch card handling, resourceful component repurposing, and defiant persistence ensured machines functioned despite flaws, acts that were as much technical achievements as statements of human agency. As the afternoon progressed, the operator's work took on symbolic weight. Each initialized system, each resolved error, mirrored the Soviet Union's struggle to reconcile ambition with limitation. Thus, the computer operator became more than a technician. They became a mirror reflecting societal contradictions, and a symbol of the tension between progress and the systems aiming to define it. The computing center, with its humming machines and dimly lit corridors, stood as a testament to this duality. As the day's end neared, the operator understood their work's significance, a contribution to a grand project and a testament to human adaptability, persistence, and meaning found in the margins of controlling systems.